All they did was tear me down and make me feel invalidated, insignificant, worthless. And because of that, it really shattered me as an individual. Hello everyone, welcome back to my first video in a while. Before we get into the heart of the video, which will be addressing why I've been gone for over the summer, on October 1st, I'm planning to take on the 30-day challenge, and I'll be posting videos every day for all of October. I'm doing this, 1, because it's my birthday, 2, because I'm trying to restart my channel, and 3, I'm hoping that by doing it, I can try enough of my content to know exactly the direction I'm going. So I'm gonna ask a favor of you guys, just because I feel like it will help me so much to know what direction is the heart of where I should go with this channel. No matter what, it's going to continue being about storytelling and the power and impact of that. If you guys can give a thumbs up to this video, just because it will help spread the word throughout YouTube, because it helps with the algorithm so it gets to more people. Because I'm going to be talking about some tough subjects, especially being mental health. And I feel like right now, especially with everything going on with us being locked up inside for so long, that the more people that can find an outlet to figure out how to deal with the depression, anxiety, the fear, there's just the stress of what last year did to us, as well as people who just like deal with depression and anxiety on a daily basis. COVID didn't help me, but it like my problem started before COVID. It just heightened it a little bit, and it's harder to see a therapist now. There's now a huge influx into the mental health industry. That's also part of what I'm trying to explore. Is I want to do this, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it and I find the cohesive vision to make this better for you guys as well as better for me, because I want to be there and help people on their mental journeys. By doing that, I feel like it will help me feel like I'm contributing to a community. That thumbs up will definitely allow other people to see that they're not alone in their struggles, and that to me is the biggest battle you have to get over before you can get help, is the realization that pain is hard to go through, but you're not alone. You just gotta find the people who can help you. On that note, before I dive in, I'm not a therapist, so I cannot give you a diagnosis or any of those kind of things. All I can do is, because I am going on my own mental journey, is talk about the things that I've learned in therapy that have helped me get past a lot of the things were leading me down a very dark path. So my hope is that by sharing it, if there's one other person out there who really doesn't have a support system and all they have is YouTube videos to look up trying to find help and hopefully start their mental journey. Again, I'm not a therapist, this is just advice. If it's really bad, try to talk to somebody if you have the support. If not, you can call any crisis center. A false fact about that crisis center: I've talked to many a therapist. I want to share this and I want to get this word out there. You do not have to be on the verge of hurting yourself to call a crisis line, which is why I just wanted to put that out there for you guys. Let's switch into what happened this past summer. To do that, I have to bring it all the way back to January. I tried rejoining a writers group, and in this writers group, you submit your story for criticism. Something happened in that group, and basically somebody, instead of giving me criticism in a safe space to help me grow as an author to be better, all they did was tear me down and make me feel invalidated, insignificant, worthless. And because of that, it really shattered me as an individual, and I just left the group. And I originally was thinking of going back, but the person who did that is a main part of that group, and I was like, no, I don't want to even have that vibe and that memory and that trauma, because it was very traumatic to me. So I just stepped away from it. I do love a lot of people there. I just couldn't be in that room anymore. I didn't deal with it. I went inside, and then I wrote a script. Then I went on a trip. The trip went terribly. Something happened on that trip that made me question myself as an actor, a creative person, human being, and so it shattered me further. Already the writing part of me had been torn to shreds, and then the acting, directing, storyteller part of me was torn to shreds. And for me, they talk about who drives your bus, like what motivates you to get up in the morning, who gets you from point A to point B, and that's the dreamer. I have dreams, but without those dreams, there's no me. I am my dreams. When those things were shattered, it broke something in me, and so I became very suicidal. If that's triggering for you, at this point, I'd rather you leave this video than be triggered, because I'm going to dive further into that topic. I just want to forewarn somebody, because I don't want anybody watching this to be triggered and have damage on themselves. If you want to come back to it once you are in a safe space mentally, worry about yourself and be in a safe space before you dive into realms of like talking about suicide. That's the number one priority for anybody watching this video or who are dealing with those thoughts. Always be in a safe space before you go into any kind of place that might trigger a trauma for you. I haven't been able to work, and I got to a point of depression, which led to my suicidal thoughts where like I couldn't get out of bed. The idea of lifting my finger from this to this, that felt like a mountain to me. I turned to friends and they heard what I was saying. I didn't feel like they understood how serious it was or the level I was in. They had, I would have gotten more like assistance to try to seek out help. Eventually I called and I got in with a social worker who got me into a program, a partial hospitalization program. And anybody out there who hears that term, partial hospitalization program, don't be afraid of it, because a lot of people are like, oh, that means you're gonna be committed. You're not in a hospital. It's kind of like you go in and you're learning like things that help you mentally, to teach you about mental health things, and then you go home and you're just going about your life again. It's not like you're being committed, you're free to leave. It's like, it's just about what you need as a person. I was glad I did it because it was very helpful for me realizing, one, what I was doing wrong as a person, and two, the things that I was allowing to be done to me from people I was close to, because I was not strong mentally to ask for what I need as a boundary, as well as respect, as well as love. So we all have different things that we need to feel loved. I was accepting things that were not okay, that people thought were showing me love that were not. After that, I got into a shorter version of that program, and I'm still in that for right now. I'm still on my journey. I'm going to get into a therapy office soon. I shared all that stuff with you because I had to sit through the first day of the partial hospitalization program and have a therapist tell me when I had suicidal thoughts to turn to a support system for help and do what I was already doing to get through to the next day of partial hospitalization program. When I barely got to the first day because of how suicidal I was, that really affected me. That's also where this idea started formulating in my brain, because I think it's important to spread this message. If you have a support system, I think that's great, and I feel like you are so lucky. I hope that the people that support you as well as you know how great that is that you are there for each other. I do not have that. I have family who's there for me when they need something from me, not when they want to listen to what's going on, because the stuff that's going on with me has been going on for 25 years and I'm 25. I had friends who were there for me when it was on their time, not when it was on my time. And that made me feel worthless when the therapist told me to turn to a support group. She did say, the therapist, that if you don't have those things, if you really feel like something's going to happen, you can turn to a crisis center, which is why I was telling you guys that that's an option as well. I got through this. That was like almost a month and a half ago. I just wanted to share that was where I started without a support system. I really don't have a support system or a strong one at this point. If I can get here and work through it like alone, then you can do the same thing. I'm doing these kind of videos because I don't want anybody to ever feel alone, because you can be surrounded by family and be alone in that family. You could be surrounded by friends and be alone among them. And you can be like me, who spends most of his time alone, and feel like, what's the point? In order to answer what's the point, you have to dive through all of like the mental things that you've been avoiding because they trigger you in order to get to a healthier place. And that's where I've been. I will go into things I've learned in therapy and different smaller videos, because I definitely feel like there are things I learned that I want to share to people, not only who have support systems, because they are tips that could help you that you might not have heard before, as well as people who are just getting into it and are just trying to help find other resources as they're going through therapy, or who have like an appointment 2 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months from now for therapy, but you haven't gotten in immediately. Any kind of support that you can find that's useful and helpful is very good, because I had to go in because I knew I didn't have support. I was like, I need to be proactive. If I go in passively, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse, because I don't have people who can check in on me and make sure I'm doing the things I need to be doing. I have to be that person for myself. And that is so scary, because I haven't been that person for myself, and I did it. I am still doing it. There are two things I heard this summer that really impacted my view on life. One was AGT. You can't wait for the bad times to be over to choose to be happy. And that was so powerful to me, because I'm 25 and I feel like my entire life has just been bad. I mean, I went to New York and I had like good moments and I had a good education, and I had like, when I'm actively pursuing storytelling and like, whether that's acting, writing, all that stuff, I feel alive. My 24/7 standard, most of what I experience feels negative, and I don't want to do that anymore. The other thing that really impacted me and why I'm doing this is you shouldn't have to fear being alone. And when you are in negative mind space, being alone feels like the worst thing that can possibly happen to you. And I'm hoping that these videos can allow you guys to exist in the silence longer, or like every time you get triggered, you're triggered for less and less amount of time because you have muscle memory of these tools that can help get you out of the peak zone of anxiety or depression faster. It is a part of you, but it isn't consuming you. I'll talk more in depth about certain stories in future episodes, but that's where I've been. And I'm wrap this up by saying one simple thing that's really been helping me lately, and it's time to show up for yourself. Or a positive affirmation is, I am going to show up for myself. If you show up for yourself, that's all that matters. Who cares? Other people who don't show up for you, oh well, you're there, you love yourself. And that's kind of what I'm hoping this will help other people to be. Like, I'm mentally strong, and so I can take life, good or bad, but I will always show up for myself. With that, I will see you guys later, and have a good one. Bye!